Welcome to another episode of the Ask Amity Show. My name is Edmund.
I'm Jennifer.
I'm Cindy.
And today we're going to talk about Heggstad petitions. So if you're watching this video, your loved one probably had a living trust and you're administering the trust right now, but you found out that there's a property, whether it's a house or a bank account that has a substantial amount of money that hasn't been listed as a trust asset. So what do you do next? For a lot of these situations, you'll have to file what's called a Heggstad petition. And so, Jennifer, can you tell us a little bit about what a Heggstad is?
Sure. So like Edmund said, it's a situation where maybe your loved ones did have an estate plan, they did have a living trust done, but maybe somehow inadvertently left out a property or an account from being funded or transferred into the living trust. And so in that situation, we would recommend that they file a Heggstad petition, which basically allows the court to determine whether or not it was in their intent all along to have that asset that may have been left out be included as part of the trust assets in order for the trust to distribute to the beneficiaries listed. And so in that situation, when a client comes in, we would look at their documentation and see whether or not we can win this petition in order for them to avoid a full and formal probate of that property. And so maybe Cindy can talk about how we would recommend them fulfill the requirements of the Heggstad petition.
Sure. So one of our strategies to win a Heggstad petition is, again, we got to look at your documents and make sure that you have the minimum required necessary documents to get a Heggstad petition approved. So one of the first things we looked at is the schedule of assets that should be part of your trust. So if you were to do your trust with our firm, we include a schedule of assets towards the back of the trust, and we always make sure that those assets are funded into the trust. Either we're transferring the title of the asset or we're listing the asset, the beneficiary as the trust. So the first thing is we'll look at the schedule of assets to make sure that you have the schedule of assets, and to make sure that whatever account that wasn't necessarily funded in the trust was at the very least listed in the schedule of assets, and that will be pretty convincing to the court. However, if you don't have the asset listed in the schedule of assets, maybe because it was a newly acquired account that you recently started using just prior to your passing, or maybe you did it at a firm that didn't transfer those assets into your trust, so it wasn't in your schedule of assets. The other thing that we could possibly look at, if you don't have a schedule of assets, or if the asset is not listed in the schedule of assets, then we could maybe look at other agreements, other types of agreements. Maybe you've got executed an agreement that says a transfer of residual assets, or maybe there is a clause in your trust documents that has basically where your residual assets would go if in case it wasn't listed anywhere else. So we'd look for other types of agreements. We can also look at perhaps co-ownerships of certain assets. So if you're co-owning certain assets, then possibly we can make an argument to the court that because it was co-owned, it was actually a community asset, and all the community asset that was listed should have been transferred into the trust.
It's very important that you avoid probate by having your petition granted. And so best case scenario is the Heggstad petition that you're going to submit to the court is granted by the court, and so your family avoids probate. The last thing you want is to spend tens of thousands of dollars in probate court and 1 to 2 years trying to sort this out. A Heggstad petition will allow you to avoid probate. So if you have any questions, you can reach out to us in terms of how to file one, how to prepare one, and we can certainly help you with that. And I think that's it for this episode. If you have any other estate planning or probate questions that you have, submit them in the comments below, and we'll do our best to answer them for you in our next show. We'll see you next time.